Well, with expectations at an all-time high and the most anticipated home opener in school history now less than 4 weeks away, the Western Michigan Broncos officially kicking off the new season this weekend with their opening practice of the fall season. Broncos will take on national power Michigan State in Kalamazoo just 26 days from now. And they'll certainly be big underdogs against the 6th-ranked team in the country. But that team that just won one game 2 years ago will be favorites in many, if not most, and expected to contend, if not win, a MAC championship.
We had expectations to be really bad last year, too, so I wouldn't put a lot of stock into the expectations. Expectations will never define us as a program. We are a process-driven program. The result is a direct reflection of a process and the character from within the organization. That's all we're focused on, is our men, the how on a daily basis of how they go about living their life and what we're teaching them, and then the process of our program, changing your best, making you a better student-athlete every single day of your life, and then results and expectations come after that.
Right.
So,
and as you go through that process, though, it is at a different level each year, and obviously I'm sure your expectations for your team is much higher than it was a year.
Well, I think it's really, when we dissect our entire process throughout this whole turnaround, we've talked to our players and educated our players. Every offseason has a different emphasis. I think last year it was coming out of nowhere. Nobody will see you coming. And not to say that's easy to do, because I think that's the most difficult part, is to actually get into the turn. But now it's a different philosophy. We have a bullseye on our back, and we understand that. But with a young football team that's never had what you said expectations, they have to learn how to handle those expectations. So the last 8 months have all been about bullseye on our back. And what does that mean? Look at past teams, NFL, NBA teams with bullseyes on their backs, one that overachieved, one that underachieved. What did the expectations do to them? So the entire offseason we've been educating our players on how to think and how to be able to handle what they're going to be thrown their way. But that's part of the education in our program.
And there will be a lot thrown your way. I mean, the MAC schedule is dictated, but when you're talking off-season or out-of-conference schedules, PJ, it's hard to find many teams that have a more difficult stretch when you're playing Michigan State and Ohio State. And, I mean, you're playing a number of really good teams.
Yeah. Well, when I got hired, I said we wanted to play the best in the country. And one thing about our staff, whatever we say we're going to do, we're going to do.
And literally you are.
And we are. And if you look at our non-conference schedule, some people call it the second hardest non-conference schedule in the country. I call it the second most opportunistic schedule in the country. And then when you look at our MAC schedule overall from non-conference and conference, it's a top 33 hardest schedule in America. The closest MAC team, I think, is around 75 or 76. So what we're going to do, we want to measure ourselves against everyone in the country, and to get a true measuring stick of where we are with this young football team and this developmental football team as we continue to grow.
You have Ohio State, you have other people on the schedule, obviously, but there's a lot of talk about this Michigan State game, because I've been here for 20 years, and I can't imagine anything being bigger than the buzz will be for opening day in Kalamazoo with one of the best teams in the program coming to your stadium.
Well, 2 years ago, I remember I said my dream of Western Michigan is to see it full, is to see a big-time opponent in our stadium and people scalping tickets on the side. And everybody thought I was nuts. And I think there's some tickets for $300 going on StubHub or something like that right now. But the point of that is it's a wonderful, wonderful game for the city of Kalamazoo, for the surrounding areas, the Mattawan, the Portage, the Grand Rapids area. It's wonderful to know that you have your Michigan and Michigan State, but you know what? Come on down to Kalamazoo and see what we're all about. Come taste our food in our community. Come stay at our hotels. And I think that's what it's about. The buzz that you just talked about is really community buzz. And that's what we wanted to bring back and instill into Kalamazoo when we took the job.
As I said, in 20 years I've been here, I've watched a lot of these, so-and-so's added to this watch list. I think there's been more Broncos named to the watch list this year in the first 19 years I was here. I mean, you included, but let's focus on your players. What does that mean to them? They're getting recognition.
Well, we had one, I think, on a watch list last year, and this year I think there's 15 total awards.
Exactly.
And it is what it is. It's a watch list. Right. It's a preseason watch list.
It still means something.
It means it's attention for the program. That's exactly what it means. And that is my job as the head football coach at Western Michigan, to bring as much positive attention to our institution, to our community, to our players, to our brand. And I think that's what we've accomplished this year in terms of that. But again, it's a watch list. We have very, very talented men, not just talented players. These are talented men that are going to go out there and run their own organizations and businesses one day. They're going to be doctors, they're going to be lawyers, they're going to be teachers, there's going to be NFL football players that come out here. We want them to feel really elite about Western Michigan University and the surrounding areas.
It says a lot about your offense when you get, I mean, first of all, you have Jarvion Franklin obviously in the backfield, but you get two wide receivers on the Bolitnikov list.
I tell you what, that's they both are extremely talented, but if you know Daniel Braverman and you know Corey Davis, they're even better people, and they both have incredible life stories, and they're still young men. And that is what's it's inspiring for me as a football coach to be able to work with these young men, and I'm glad the nation's noticing what type of people and talent they do possess.
2 years ago, people were thinking maybe Zach's not going to be your guy under center. Obviously, he's the clear-cut guy going in, had a wonderful season last year, great finish last year.
2 years ago, I didn't think he'd be our guy
really?
under center.
I mean, and he'll
tell you that.
From outside the numbers, he just seems like he's so in command of things now.
He's one of the best self-made leaders I've ever met. And when you get around Zach's family, you understand that. His dad works with a nonprofit organization, and Zach is about everyone else but Zach. And when you get around him, you're going to feel that. You know, there's going to be a lot of people that work for Zach Terrell one day, and they're going to have a wonderful leader that stands in front of them with directions of whatever organization he's in charge of. He's an incredible humanitarian, incredible person, and I'm glad he's the one behind our center that really commands our entire football team, because a lot of people get, I guess, cornered into this person has to be the guy that runs your football team when he really doesn't have all the qualities that you possess as a head football coach or an organization. Zach has all of them, and I'm so proud of him. And like I said, he's a guy that you want your daughter to marry one day. That's for sure.
Your name's on one of those lists. You're a hot topic. Is it how do you approach it with your recruiting class, say this past year, or with your younger players now when they know that, boy, there's a lot of people up in upper levels looking at you should you have another successful year?
Well, I think so many people get caught up in all of that. I love Western Michigan. I love our program. I love that I get to be me in our program. That's hard to find these days, that someone can actually be themselves, and I get to be me, and that's why I love Western Michigan, and that's why I love the job that I'm at, and that's why I love being around my players and my staff, because they let me be me, and I don't have to be anybody else but PJ Fleck, and that's priceless.